Elliot, and this is my project, Dr. Freeze. Dr. Freeze is about water expansion, which leads us to the question. We wanted to figure out if water can expand so much to break a Deer Park bottle. Our purpose is to, if we put any liquid, not just water, in a bottle, would it freeze so much to break a bottle? Our hypothesis is, out of all the liquids, which are tap, regular water, lake, creek, and OJ, out of all the liquids, we think tap could break a Deer Park bottle the most. Our procedures are to collect the materials and then take the Deer Park bottles and empty the contents out. Put any of the liquids into any of the bottles. Then put the bottles in the freezer. Check every 1 hour. Wait a day to take out the bottles. When the bottles are taken out, check for cracks and water expansion, or any expansion. The results are creek water didn't expand a lot, and there were no cracks in the bottle. Tap water really didn't do anything that much, which was a pretty letdown. Lake water didn't do anything as well, and it didn't expand, which was a pretty big letdown. Spring water ended up expanding the most, which was actually really good. It expanded a lot at the bottom, but it didn't have any cracks. OJ did not expand. It only expanded a little at the top, but no further cracks. Our hypothesis was incorrect. We thought that tap water could have expanded the most because it had no extra chemicals, flavoring, sugar. What ended up happening is that spring water expanded the most. We found out that a liquid can expand the most when it is clean and pure. Thank you.
We made a Lego car and we tested out how fast it went for the first time and then the second time.
Hi, my name is Grace, and this is Blooming Vitamin E. I chose this project because I wanted to see if I could prolong aging. I also thought this project was unique. Hypothesis. If I put vitamin E, hot air, and water in 3 different bags with orchid petals, then I will notice that the vitamin E orchid will last longer. For my questions, I have, can vitamin E slow aging? Which petal is going to age faster? Here are my materials. Here's my background info, and here's the procedures. First, I gathered the materials, labeled the bags, and dipped the first petal in water. And I made sure that there's no air in the bag. Then I closed and sealed the bag. Then I rubbed the third flower petal with vitamin E. Then I closed and sealed the bag. And then I recorded the daily in data book. Here are my results. After 11 days of observations, I noticed that the vitamin E orchid did last longer, and it showed minimal changes compared to the others. The hot air orchid seems to be dying. The orchid dipped in water seems to be on its way to dying. Are there any questions?
These are last year's Norristown Area High School entrants into the Montgomery County Science Research Competition. And we were looking at 2 components of energetics. The students looked at photosynthesis and they looked at respiration. And at the high school level, you're supposed to be quantitative. You're supposed to measure the size and the quantities of products and processes. So if you look at these 2 presentations, we're indirectly looking at how much ATP is produced in cellular respiration. And the way you look at that is you look at the waste gas. You can quantify the amount of carbon dioxide that's produced by the mitochondria in eukaryotic cells. And by doing that, you make an inference about how much ATP is being produced and how much glucose is being consumed. We're doing the same thing in this one, but we're indirectly measuring how much glucose is produced by photosynthesis. And you do that by measuring either the water that comes out of photosynthesis, and photosynthesis does produce water, or you can measure the oxygen gas. And our students measured the quantity of oxygen gas that's produced as part of photosynthesis. And indirectly, you can measure how much glucose is produced, how much chemical energy is produced through the process of photosynthesis. So these are really nice little pieces of research, and our students did really well. One of these two won honorable mention at the county competition.
Our name is the Spiderweb Strength, and our project is about if a Spider-Man drone can hold 35 2x4 Legos at once or not. Our hypothesis is if we add 6 Legos to our drone, it will fall down because the extra weight of the Legos will make the drone fall down with the remaining of Legos. For materials are Spider-Man drone, rubber band, data book, and our timer, and 35 2x4 Legos. For procedures is collect materials, get Spider-Man drone, get rubber bands, place Spider-Man drone, place Legos on the Spider-Man drone, and turn on Spider-Man drone with given number of Legos, and then set timer, make observations in data books stating how many Legos Spider-Man lifted, and number 8, analyze data. And for results, the results show that the drone could not hold 35 Legos, it could hold only 4. Our hypothesis was proven wrong because the drone fell at 4 Legos instead of 6, and to lift it, it could not hold that. And for measured data, is 1 Lego equals 2 grams, 2 Legos equals 4, 3 is 6, 4, 8, 5 is 10. And the Spider-Man drone is 24 grams itself. It is 25 grams itself. And the results are the Spider-Man drone is 24 grams, and that means it can only hold 33% of its own weight. So it can only hold 4 Legos.
So basically, it's exactly as the title says. It's age-affecting memory. Except in this case, I used 3 female participants, which were my mom, who is 48 years old, a family friend who is 32 years old, and my cousin who is 12 years old, and she's going to be representing my generation. So for this project, I used a song to represent like how strong their memory is. It was a Spanish song because that's what they all had in common, and I let them read over the lyrics a few times, and afterwards I played the song for them. This was a song that they didn't know, and after they finished reading over the lyrics, I showed them a random video, which in this case it was Sonic the Hedgehog trailer, and all 3 participants could say that that video threw all of them off. And in the end, it was my cousin who got second place. My mom got the highest. There could have been different factors that could have related to this outcome. Since my mom's a mother, I think she has a lot more things to remember about for her kids. So I think that's why she was able to memorize a lot more stuff and get the specific details. My cousin got second place, and the family friend got last. And I feel like my family friend got last because she has a lot of things on her mind, and she doesn't know a lot of Spanish as well, so that could have been a factor. And that was it.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Stumpf, and I'm one of the biology instructors at the high school. Tonight is the Science Expo, and I'm here advertising our Biology 2 course. And I brought in a bunch of samples that our students look at throughout the academic year. And some of our dissections include the bullfrog, and Mrs. Petrov's class has reassembled the bones and took all of the meat off. And we also brought some of the earthworms that we dissect. And we just hope that all of the students here tonight come and take a look at what we have to offer at the high school level.
We made cardboard room models, and we measured the temperature, and then we put bottles in, like to measure how it, like the end temp, and we were seeing like what type of curtain would keep the room model the warmest.
So I did a science experiment about boiling salt, I boiled 3 different kinds of salt in the water to see which one will do the fastest and the slowest. So if you ever wanted to boil, like if you ever wanted your water to boil faster, you can use these salts to help your water boil faster. So the materials that we used was water, table salt, Epsom salt, and rock salt. And then we used the tablespoons so we can measure the salt and put it in the water so we can have equal salt in each pot. Yeah, and the problem was how do different kinds of salt affect the water's boiling point. So my hypothesis was that the different kinds of salt was going to have different effects to the water. So certain salts will make certain waters boil slower and certain water boil faster. Do this experiment is to buy the materials for the experiment, grab a cooking pot with a spoon or measuring cup. Also get a thermometer to put in the cup so you know when the water reaches boiling point. Fill the pot with 2 cups of 250 millimeter room temperature water, but you can use it with any kind of water, but just make sure to use the same measurements for each salt. Also start the electric stove so you can start boiling the water, but start it all at the same time. And then wait until the water starts boiling by using the thermometer until it reaches the exact boiling point. So the data that we got was for the trial 1, Epsom salt had 6 minutes and 16 seconds. Rock salt trial 1 was 5 minutes and 3 seconds. Table salt was 3 minutes and 5 seconds. And then for the second trial, Epsom salt was 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Rock salt for the second trial was 7 minutes. And then table salt was 3 minutes again. And then for the last trial, Epsom salt was 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Rock salt was 6 minutes and 20 seconds. And then the table salt was 3 minutes. So the results that we got was that the table salt boils the fastest because the fastest was 3 minutes and 5 seconds, 3 minutes and 3 minutes. So if you ever wanted to make your water boil faster, I will conclude that you should use table salt because rock salt and Epsom salt just makes the water boil slower, and you don't want your water to boil slower because now it's going to take more time to cook your food. And the results right here, the fastest trial is the light blue, and then the slowest trial is the dark blue. So you can see how fast it took for the fastest trial and how slow it took for the slowest trial. And then my conclusion is that the table salt cooks the fastest and that the salt affected the water because of the ingredients in the water, in the salt, which made the water boil either slower or faster.
We tried it out the first day that we knew about the experiment. And then what we did was we put water on the Skittles after we figured out the pattern. And when we went back to our seats, we wrote what we thought it was going to be. And the next day we came in, we saw it, and we said if our prediction was right or not. Then a few days later, we got in groups and we got to do our own pattern, and we put water on them. Would you like to see the pictures? Yeah. So this is group. I don't know what the group is. I don't remember. But they did their Skittles, and then the teacher put hot water on it, and it melted. And this is their pattern. This is what happened after. Then here's my group, and we did ours, and then we put the water on it, and here's what it turned out to be. Then this is this group, and they put theirs on, and then they put hot water, and it blended, and then here's this group, they did their pattern, water, they put water on it, and this is what it turned out like. And this is the results. We watched as the hot water began to melt and dissolve the Skittles. The color of each Skittle showed in the water, and the cold thing was the colors did not blend together. They stayed separate.
Hi, I'm Stacy O'Donohue. I'm from Marshall Street Elementary School. I teach first grade. My first grade class decided to figure out what boat design would hold the most pennies. They had to work collectively as a group to design a boat and then see how many pennies their boat would have to prove their predictions and their hypothesis. It worked well, and most groups got at least 35 pennies in their boat designs.
So our project is about car force, and our title was 1, 2, 3, go, and our question was, which car will accelerate faster? So our problem was, which car will accelerate faster, the balloon propelled car or the rubber band propelled car? And our hypothesis was, if I race two cars propelled by two different forces, one propels by an air balloon, another propels with a rubber band configuring, then the car propelled by the balloon will accelerate faster because the air-filled balloon will contain more force. And we did trials and observations. So for our plastic propelled car, we raced the two of the cars, and for the first trial, the plastic propelled car went 4 feet and the balloon propelled car went 5 feet. And then the second trial, the plastic car went 4.5 feet and the balloon propelled car went 5 feet. And then on the last trial, the plastic propelled car went 4 feet and the balloon propelled car went 5 feet. And our conclusion was, we all learned that on all three trials, the balloon propelled traveled farther. My hypothesis was supported.
Hi, my name is Savannah, and we decided to do hot glue versus Elmer's glue to see which one was strong, which glue was stronger and we could do more stuff with. And we learned that Elmer's glue was better, and it helped us learn that we should use Elmer's glue when we do more projects.
Our project is called Inside Out, and it's mainly a project on the different muscles in the cat's skeleton. So I'm just gonna let you guys see it instead of talking.
Okay, so I do water filtration, and our conclusion is that our hypothesis was correct, and our hypothesis was that the cotton balls were gonna clean the water the best, and our hypothesis was correct.